I have a listener question today, which, well, there's a bunch of parts to this, but I think the most important part is what to do if you're on an ammo budget. So low amount of round counts or how often should you go to the range? And when you go to the range, how much ammo should you take? So I'll read this question and then I'll kind of pick it apart into pieces. Is shooting 500 rounds in a single range session too much? At $15 per 50 round box of 9mm, that's about $150 per trip. Does shooting that many rounds lead to fatigue, which may increase the risk of reinforcing bad habits rather than building good ones? What's your recommended training session for 50 or 100 rounds? So there's a bunch of questions there. The first one I'll start off with is how much ammo I take to the range. I'm fairly disciplined, well, at least for this, and I'm okay with taking more ammunition than I plan to shoot. I have some friends that just love shooting. Like, for example, my friend Nick Young. If he goes to the range, well, walks to his range, I'm not saying he has to, but he likes shooting all the ammo he takes with him. He enjoys shooting training. And so, like, I know he has built-in discipline where he only takes the amount of ammo he wants to shoot with him to the range, which for some people, that's probably a good idea. For other people, if you could walk to the range with 5,000 rounds of ammo and you're just going to shoot how much you need for training that day, that's good too. Everybody's wired a little bit differently. For me, I'm able to go to the range and not shoot every single round I have. The voice of reason will kick in if I feel like I'm not being productive anymore, and I'll get more to that shortly. But for me, most practice sessions are between 300 and 500 rounds. I've had practice sessions where I've shot as much as, well, at one range trip, like I've shot 2,000 rounds before in a few hours. But shooting that much, you get to where it's just not as productive. I don't really feel like I'm getting anything out of it, and that's the time to quit. So for me, I take 300 to 500 rounds, normally probably just 500, and then when I get what I'm going to get out of it, or when I feel like I'm not getting anything out of it, or I've got plenty of stuff to take to my dry fire training, or that kind of thing, then I just call it for the day. With the ammo I take, I like dividing up my range session between two different drills, and they could be similar in concept, or they could be way different. So it could be, think about engaging multiple targets. So a target transition drill where I have 3 or 4 targets set out. Then I could use just one of those targets for a marksmanship drill, like the reactive shooting or the fast pairs, the doubles drill. Shoot half my ammo on just through that one target, then use all 4 of the target for target transitions. But it makes the setup really, really easy because I just set my targets once and they're kind of both together. Where I could just use 2 targets side by side. There's a variety of drills we do. There's one where there's just a stick on the ground. You step over. You're shooting both targets. I could do that. Then I could stand there static and shoot the upper and lower A zones on the left and right target. So with one setup, I'd get a movement kind of drill, a shooting while moving drill, and a marksmanship static stand and deliver type of drill. Both at the same time, so with the same setup, so that's good. It all depends on what you want to work on. But anyway, I think 2 drills are the max for what most people should work on in a range session. With that ammo you have, I normally just shoot half my ammunition on each of the drill and just come away with some takeaways for what I think is going well, what needs training, something new I noticed. I didn't really realize that I'm not hanging on to the gun. I'm not picking spots. I didn't realize I'm struggling so much with firing hand tension or picking spots on far targets, whatever it could be. Then you kind of just get that observation, and that's something to take back to your dry fire training. So I'm of the opinion with, even if you take 1,000 rounds to the range, or I had 2,000 rounds before in the range, I just keep jamming mags, you don't get a ton better that day. In my opinion, most of the gains are going to come from your dry fire training. So unless you have a job where you could be shooting every single day, or you're on the range every day, or a teaching or a military kind of job, maybe the situation's a little bit different. But for most people, you're not going to get any better while you're on the range. Instead, you're just observing all the things that are happening and taking those back to your training. So then the question is when to stop. And like I said, it's when I feel like I'm not getting anything out of it. When I feel like I've already identified the issues I need to work on and my hands are getting tired, my brain's getting tired just mentally from thinking about everything. I feel like I'm just like, I've got what I need to get. I'm not really going to get any better today. It's time to call it. That's the time I would quit and head home. Within that, you could also do dry repetitions in between it to make your ammo last longer, or sometimes you just get more out of the repetitions. So by using an unloaded gun, dry firing, whether you're pressing the trigger or not, you could maybe see things or feel things that you couldn't or were tougher to pick up on when the gun was loaded and there's brass flying everywhere and it's kicking hard and noise. And it's a lot more kind of to go on, trying to pick through all that stuff to just see what the sights are doing or what you feel in your hands or anything along those lines. So doing the dry fire repetitions in between makes your ammo go longer, and it helps you pick up on what's going on. So does shooting that many rounds lead to fatigue? I mean, it can, depending on what you're doing. For example, if I was doing all 25-yard shooting, like 25-yard on just using one target, like the reactive shooting or bill drills, and I want to do 1 or 2 repetitions, then walk 25 yards to the target, patch it, walk 25 yards back. Shooting 500 rounds of that would take a long time. At the end, I'd just be like, man, I'm smoked. I don't have anything left. So, and maybe you're shooting up close, faster shooting, and the ammo is going quicker, but you could feel your hands get tired or you feel fatigued. Once you feel like you're not getting anything out of it, it's time to call it a day. I don't know that you necessarily create bad habits, but I think you just get to the point where you're not really, I could shoot more, but I'm not really getting anything out of it. And that's when I think it's the time just to call it a day. Like I said, ammo is expensive, and that's when you're not learning. Recommended training session for 50 or 100 rounds. I think it depends on how far the range is from you. For me, the range is about 25 minutes each way. So I wouldn't spend an hour in the car to only shoot 100 rounds. Instead, I would just do more dry fire training and maybe save up several weeks, or maybe as opposed to going every week with 100 rounds, maybe you go twice a month with 200 rounds each, or once a month for one 400 round practice session. Kind of depends on what your training's like. Because when you go to the range, like probably 200 to 250 rounds is probably the minimum I'd want to go to the range with, just because you can go through that much ammunition pretty quickly, even with dry fire sprinkled in. And again, it depends on how long it takes you to get there and what your drive time and your situation's like. With that 200 rounds, though, you could do, like, assess your cold shooting. So shoot 20 or 30 rounds cold, kind of assess that performance, do more drive training, then do 3 or 4 dry repetitions for one live run with ammo, and kind of go back and forth like that, or 1 and 1. That makes your ammo go a lot farther also. So something to do if you're on a lower budget. But to answer his question directly, if it was less than 100 rounds, I don't think I would make the trip to the range, unless it was something where I could just walk out my backyard or jump in my UTV and just drive there and like do a cold drill or a cold run or whatever the drill is, and then head back inside or go back home. So anyway, I think that answers his question. As far as the concern for reinforcing bad habits rather than building good ones, man, you could be very fresh reinforcing bad habits, and you could be very tired reinforcing bad habits. So it's all just kind of paying attention to the results you're getting, the feelings you have, or the things you see, and then just, trying to be honest about when you are just looking at the shape and color of the target, or your firing hands clamping down the gun too much, or not ingraining the stance you want. Even though the targets look good, you don't have the stance you want. You just kind of have to keep chipping away at those kind of things and honestly and brutally assessing the results you get. So anyway, hopefully that answers the question, gives you something to think about. If you have any more questions for me, drop it below, or follow-up questions. Try my best to read through the comments and answer them if I can, if it's just a short answer, or if it's something like this, I'll just answer with the short answer and then just reply that I'll make a video because it's a bit to talk about. So appreciate you watching. Have a good day.